So,
well, of course, if we had 35, I guess, squares on each blanket, we would have 1 million blankets spread out across this country.
Exactly.
How will this memorial be used, the one behind us?
mhm. This particular one was made up of women who had gone through, most of the names are women who had gone on a retreat experience and named their children, and they're from all over the country, and this blanket will be traveling and has traveled many different states already. Typically, though, how the project will work is we will have a blanket with names of children for particular states, so that the blankets can stay in the churches or places in each state, and the women can come to see that if they want. And
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone can be
So
involved.
So our goal this year is to have one in every state, at least.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Marillac Center and the mission statement of the center.
Our primary mission is to be a force, a very positive force in the area of pro-life by helping women to reconnect spiritually with their children. It's an ecumenical outreach ministry to assist women. You know, abortion is not the final word, and
Never is.
there's great healing and forgiveness that's out there and that's available. There are a lot of people hurting. Part of the denial that's of the child has led to a tremendous denial of the women and the people who have been affected. I've spoken with nurses who are still traumatized by what they've seen in hospitals, whether it be a late-term abortion or, you know, whatever level abortion, and they need to recover and heal from that.
I know I've often thought of challenging some of the pro-abortion forces to witness an abortion through a sonogram, and I haven't had one who would take me up on that particular challenge.
One of the things we wanted to also do was to have, there are a lot of people who have a presence outside of abortion clinics, whether it be to pray or whether it be to offer assistance to women, and we would like to have blankets made up of children who have been killed at those particular centers. There's a fellow, Dr. David Reardon, who's head of the Elliott Institute in Illinois, and his attitude is that abortion will not end because people recognize a baby at 10 weeks, but abortion may end when mothers and fathers are standing outside of clinics saying that my child was killed in there.
Oh,
and
yes.
So this
And
is...
they're living with it 20 years later.
That
the grief.
Exactly. That would be a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Well, what are your plans to move the blanket from state to state and promulgate other blankets?
Well, I'm going to turn that one over to Trish.
Well, when I was brought to this, Mike, Mary Lynn and I have definitely shared blood between us, and that we have relatives between us. But God really called us to this ministry. My background, which you mentioned, was in marketing and promotions. And even though I do that secularly and for companies and products and so on and so forth and broadcast, I do a lot of pro-life work simply because I am pro-life because I'm post-abortive. And it wasn't until almost 20 years later that God dealt with my abortions and called me into the pro-life ministry. Mary Lynn started this ministry some 6 years after I was called into pro-life ministry. And in my experience, Mike, there's really no ministries out there that are doing anything for post-abortive women. They're taking care of the unwed mothers, they're building the unwed mothers' homes, but this blanket was the first proactive memorial, living memorial. The first time I saw the blanket, I was struck by one thing. It was a knife through the heart. I gave my babies names. I've had 2 abortions, but I never gave them a middle name. And my son, who's alive, has a middle name.
Well, now
and that struck me, that I didn't think enough of their personhood, as she says, that they're living, they're alive. I wouldn't have not given my live son a middle name. And so I never finished naming those children. And the first time I saw that blanket was when we were shooting the video, of which we're about to see, producing the video for her. I knew that I hadn't finished it. And so when I went back to Florida, my hometown, it haunted me. I spoke to God. I said, God, give me a middle name for those children. Well, he couldn't do that when I didn't have the second sex of the child correct.
Right.
The first sex I knew was a boy. The second one I thought was a girl.
Well, I'd like to move on to the video, because I think the video says this.
It says those things. It
in,
shows
in
that
a very
it's alive.
remarkable way.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes.
know that Mother Teresa was asked why God hasn't supplied an answer to AIDS. And her answer was, God sent someone to cure AIDS, and that child was aborted.
Ah, yes.
So with that, we would like to move to the video, and we'll be right back.
The pain that comes after an abortion is often reported to us by post-abortive women as a heart wound and a spiritual wound.
When we abort our own babies, be it as mother or father or grandparents, whatever our participation in saying goodbye to life, that is an indelible scar inside ourselves.
I'm just stuck like a vacuum cleaner right up there. I screamed in the middle of it, stop, but it was too late.
I am a post-abortive woman. Through the Marillac Center and the Holy Family Blanket of Love, I have found God's healing and forgiveness. God has used this blanket to spiritually reunite me with my son. I've given him a name and a place in my heart forever.
Many women who have been in the process of counseling or healing from their abortion experience have a sense of whether their child was a boy or a girl. And a lot of them have chosen to name their children. It's a very important part of the healing process, of the grieving process. And it is a very, very special moment for those women when they arrive at a name for their child. It's similar to the experience of just having given birth when you first call that child by name. And it is a tremendous source of comfort for these women to be able to actually put that name in a physical place, such as on the Holy Family Blanket of Love.